tuberculosis, which led to respiratory failure. XTX induced parathyroid crisis, and without the PTH hormone released by her patch, Brigitte would die in a matter of minutes. The stress of a death sentence had weighed heavily, and it had taken her weeks to learn how to sleep again and get over the anxiety the patch would come off in the night. Eventually, after relying on sleeping pills to knock her out, she'd realized she wouldn't accidentally rip the armband or patch off in her sleep. The nightmares of waking for her last few gasped breaths didn't stop, though. Brigitte opened her vanity case and unzipped the plastic pouch which contained her replacement patches. She had brought a dozen with her, enough for 3 months. She took one out, aware of how much she hated the infernal thing that was now keeping her alive. She peeled off the blister wrapper, removed the backing, and placed the pouch face down on the counter. She pulled her armband down and peeled the used patch from her shoulder. Once it was off, she started to feel the effects of its absence. Her chest tightened and her heart rate jumped a notch. Her body was beginning to lose the ability to process oxygen. If she didn't apply the new patch, she would start to suffocate within 3 minutes. In 4, she would pass out, and after 5, she'd be dead. She looked at herself in the mirror and wondered why she was fighting the inevitable. She'd thought about leaving it off many times before, but something had always stopped her. Maybe she was sentimental and had grown attached to her life, no matter how tortured and pathetic. But perhaps here, in this anonymous hotel room, she could... She was interrupted by a knock at the door. She knew who it would be, and didn't want him to be the one who discovered her body. She applied the new patch, replaced the armband, and threw on a robe. The fentanyl high hit as she tied the belt, but she was used to it now, and knew to relax into the rolling sensation that made the world seem as though it was melting around her. She steadied herself, left the bathroom, and pressed her eye to the spy hole to see Scott Pearce. Chapter 2. Brigitte Attali had first been an enemy, then a colleague, and now a friend. She'd been a formidable adversary when they'd first encountered one another during the Black 13 investigation, but as he'd got to know her, Pearce had realized the hard-as-nails exterior concealed a vulnerable core. That vulnerability had become clear when she'd confided in him about the patch, revealing a weakness that might someday kill her. Ever since then, Pearce had wanted to protect her, and in a different life, his feelings might have developed into something more, but their work was all-consuming and suffocated any personal relationships. Pearce had spent years giving all of himself to the job, first in the military, then in the intelligence service. When he'd been a green recruit, he'd had a vague ambition to start a family one day, but as the years ground on and he realized how difficult it was to meet someone and maintain a relationship, the ambition had faded. Like him, Brigitte had given herself to this life, and their connection would never be anything more than professional. She was dedicated, even in the face of terrible adversity, and he admired her all the more for it. Her eyes still shone with their customary defiance, but there was a frailty in them now. She was like a dragon made of glass, formidable at first glance, but delicate and fragile to those who took a closer look. "I can do another hour, if you like," he said. "I'm sorry," she replied. "I was just getting dressed." "It's no problem." They'd been alternating surveillance shifts, doing 10 hours on and 10 off, and it was time for their handover. Pearce was meant to stay in the lobby until she came down, but he'd been worried about her. He sometimes wondered how Brigitte managed to sleep with the patch that had ruined her life clinging to her.